Picture yourself alone on a sun-scorched prairie, the crack of gunfire shattering the silence, your throat dry as dust with no water in sight. Dear listener, welcome to the Dozing Historian, where we drift into the untamed American Wild West of 1865 to 1895, a land of dreams and danger. Let your breath slow, matching the creak of a wagon rolling through endless plains. Smell the sagebrush, sharp and dry. Hear the distant howl of a coyote. Feel the rough burlap of a bedroll beneath you. This is no romantic frontier, but a brutal world where disease, violence, filth, hunger, merciless elements, and crushing loneliness could claim you in a day. Each challenge we explore reveals why your modern comforts would falter against the West's relentless trials. Settle deeper, beloved friend, as the Dozing Historian weaves history's truths into a lullaby for your soul, guiding you through a land where every sunrise was a battle, every sunset a fragile victory. Rest now and let this story carry you into the rugged heart of the Wild West, where survival was a miracle woven from grit and grace. Dear listener, let your eyes grow heavy, your breath ease into the rhythm of a distant prairie wind as we step into the raw, unyielding world of the Wild West in 1875. Picture yourself waking in a frontier town, Dodge City, perhaps, or Tombstone, where the dawn breaks over warped wooden shacks, their boards creaking in the morning chill. The air is thick with the scent of horse manure, wood smoke, and the sour tang of unwashed bodies, a reminder that this is a land where survival is a fragile thread. Feel the rough burlap of your bedroll beneath you, its fibers prickling your skin, offering no comfort from the hard-packed dirt floor. Smell the faint mildew of a canvas tent, the stale sweat clinging to a shared blanket. This is the Wild West, beloved friend, where invisible killers, cholera, smallpox, tuberculosis, lurk in every sip of water, every crowded saloon, every breath you draw. Settle deeper now. Let the hum of these words wrap around you like a soft blanket, and drift with me into a world where disease was a shadow that claimed the unwary, where a single day could be your last dot. Imagine rising from your bedroll, your body stiff from a night on the cold ground, the air heavy with dust kicked up by passing cattle herds. The street outside is a churned mess of mud and manure, its odor sharp and earthy, mingling with the faint sweetness of sagebrush carried on the breeze. Hear the low bellow of cattle, the clatter of a wagon's wheels, the distant shout of a cowboy driving his herd. Your first instinct is to wash, to clear the grit from your eyes. But there's no running water, no sink, only a bucket of murky liquid drawn from a nearby creek. Smell its algae-laden scent. Feel the grit between your fingers as you splash it on your face, the water cold and slightly slimy against your skin. This creek, used by man and beast alike, carries diseases you cannot see: typhoid, dysentery, cholera-silent killers that strike without warning. Your modern body, accustomed to clean water and antibiotics, would falter here, unprepared for the invisible threats that defined life in the West. Step into the heart of the town now, where a saloon's swinging doors creak on rusty hinges, releasing a cloud of cigar smoke and the stale reek of spilled whiskey. Picture the crowded room, its air hazy, the wooden floor sticky under your boots. Hear the clink of glasses, the rough laughter of miners, the off-key plink of a piano in the corner. But beneath the revelry lies danger. Tuberculosis, known then as consumption, spreads in the warm, crowded air, carried by a cough or a shared tin cup. Smell the metallic tints of blood in a stranger's handkerchief. Feel the feverish heat creeping. into your own skin as you brush against a man whose eyes are sunken, his breath labored. Historical records from the era note tuberculosis as a leading cause of death, its victims filling frontier cemeteries with unmarked graves, without antibiotics. A single cough could sentence you 2 weeks of wasting fever, your strength ebbing with every labored breath. Imagine the dread, dear listener, as you realize you've shared a drink. Your modern immune system no match for this ancient scourge. Let's pause and breathe in the scene, dear friend. The saloon's warmth is deceptive, its wooden walls scarred. By knife fights, its air thick with the musk of unwashed bodies. A man at the bar coughs, a wet, rattling sound, and you notice the pallor of his skin, the sheen of sweat despite the morning chill. Feel the weight of your own breath, the slight catch in your throat as you wonder if you've already inhaled something deadly. The West's medical care was as rough as its landscape doctors, often self-taught, carried bags of crude tools, a rusty saw for amputations, a knife for lancing boils, a bottle of laudanum to dull the pain. Smell the sharp, medicinal bite of laudanum, its syrupy sweetness masking its danger, a narcotic that offered fleeting relief but no cure. Hear the soft clink of the doctor's tools, the groan of a patient on a blood-stained table. Your modern reliance on hospitals, sterile needles, and precise diagnoses would crumble here, where medicine was more art than science, and often more harmful than the illness itself. Now, picture a moment of quiet desperation, a boarding house. At dusk, its thin walls letting in the evening chill. You're lying on a cot, the straw mattress prickling through a threadbare sheet, the air heavy with the breath of a dozen strangers. Mosquitoes hum, their bites a constant irritation, each one a potential carrier of malaria from the stagnant ponds outside town. Feel the itch on your arm, the warmth of a bite that could bloom into fever by morning. Hear the soft moans of a sick neighbor, the creak of a cot as they toss in restless sleep. Smallpox, another invisible killer, left its mark on the West newspapers. From the 1870s, describe outbreaks that shuttered towns, bodies buried in haste to stop the spread. Picture the scars on a shopkeeper's face, the pockmarks, a testament to survival, or the mass graves outside a mining camp, where entire families succumbed. Smell the acrid smoke of burning blankets, a futile attempt to cleanse the air. Without vaccines or isolation wards, your modern body would be defenseless. A single exposure enough to seal your fate. Let's linger on the water, the lifeblood of the frontier, yet its deadliest trap. Imagine standing by a creek at midday, the sun glinting off its surface, the water cloudy with silt and waste. Smell the faint rot of upstream refuse manure, kitchen slop, the carcass of a dead animal carried by the current. Hear the soft slosh as you dip your canteen, the faint ripple as a fish darts away. Drinking this water is a gamble, but thirst is a relentless foe. Feel the dry crack of your lips, the ache in your throat as you swallow, knowing each sip could bring cramps, fever, or worse. Cholera, spread through contaminated water, was a scourge of the West. Historical accounts from the 1860s describe wagon trains decimated in days. Settlers collapsing beside their oxen, their bodies left where they fell. Without clean water or rehydration therapy, your modern habits reaching for a bottle of purified water would be useless, replaced by a desperate choice between thirst and poison. Step back now and consider the broader world of the Wild Wests. Medicine. Picture a traveling doctor, his horse tethered outside a saloon, his coat dusty from the trail. His bag holds patent medicines, bottles of Dr. Pierce's golden medical discovery, or hostator's stomach bitters, their labels, promising cures for everything from fever to fatigue. Smell their bitter, alcoholic temps, feel the burn as you swallow a spoonful, hoping it works. But these remedies, often laced with opium or mercury, were as likely to poison as to heal. Mercury treatments for infections left patients trembling, their teeth loosening, their minds clouded. Hear the soft clink of a glass vial, the doctor's low voice promising relief, though his own hands are stained with the failures of his trade. Medical journals from the era warn of quack cures that killed more than they saved, yet they were all the frontier offered. Your modern trust in science, sex-rays, blood tests, sterile gloves would find no echo here, only the crude tools of a desperate time. Imagine a moment of personal crisis, dear listener. You've cut your hand on a rusty nail, the wound small but throbbing, the skin around it red by evening. Picture a makeshift clinic, a canvas tent lit by a single lantern, its flame casting shadows on blood-stained cloths. Smell the carbolic acid, sharp and chemical, as the doctor dabs it on your wound, the sting making you wince. Hear the rasp of his saw, kept for worse cases, the soft grunt as he stitches your skin with coarse thread. Infection was the West's silent killer, tetanus, gangrene, sepsis, turning minor cuts into death sentences. Without antibiotics, a wound could fester in hours, fever setting in by nightfall. Feel the heat in your hand, the dread as you realize. There's no hospital, no specialist, only this man with his shaky hands and outdated knowledge. Frontier diaries describe settlers losing limbs to infection, their screams echoing through camps. Your modern body, unscarred by such risks, would be unprepared for this relentless threat. Let's step outside now, to the edge of town, where a cemetery lies under a wide sky, its wooden crosses weathered by wind and rain. Picture the fresh-turned earth, the faint smell of damp soil, the soft creak of a cross swaying in the breeze. Hear the low murmur of a preacher, his words lost to the wind, as another victim of fever is laid to rest. Cemeteries like these, scattered across the West, tell a story of Los Galora outbreaks in 1866, smallpox in 1872, diphtheria sweeping through mining camps. Historical records note entire families buried together, their graves unmarked save for a stone or a stick. Smell the wildflowers placed on a mound, their sweetness fleeting against the earth's raw scent. Your modern life, with its vaccines and sterile clinics, would offer no shield here, where disease was a companion as constant as the sun. Now, imagine the daily rituals of survival, the small acts meant to ward off illness. Picture a woman boiling water over a fire, her hands chapped from lye, the steam rising with a faint metallic smell. Hear the soft bubble of the pot, the crackle of burning wood. Boiling water was rare, fuel was scarce, and time scarcer, but it was the only defense against waterborne diseases. Smell the herbs, she adds, sage or mint, their faint aroma a prayer against sickness. In a boarding house, you might rub a mixture of grease and camphor on your chest, its sharp scent clinging to your skin, believed to fend off consumption. Feel the sticky residue, the false hope it brings. These remedies, passed down through folklore, were all the West had. No germ theory, no understanding of microbes, only superstition and desperation. Your modern knowledge of hygiene would be a whisper in a storm, drowned out by the frontier's harsh reality. Let's pause and reflect on the people who faced these killers daily. Picture a miner, his face gaunt, his lungs scarred by dust and disease. He coughs into a rag, its edges stained, his breath a rattle that echoes in the quiet dawn. Smell the cold dust on his clothes, the faint blood in his cough. His wife, her hands rough from washing, brews a tea of willow bark, its bitter taste a faint echo of modern aspirin. Hear her soft humming, a lullaby to soothe her own fears. These were the survivors, their lives a testament to endurance. Yet their cemeteries tell of those who felt children lost to diphtheria, mothers to childbirth fever, men to a cut gone septic. Historical accounts from frontier towns describe death rates as high as 20% in outbreak years. Numbers your modern mind struggles to grasp. Feel the weight of their loss, the quiet courage of their daily fight. As you drift deeper into this story, now step into a moment of fleeting hope. Picture a tent revival, the air warm with the press of bodies, the scent of sweat and dust mingling with the faint sweetness of homemade soap. A preacher calls for healing, his voice rising over the crowd, promising miracles where medicine fails. Hear the murmurs of prayer, the soft clap of hands, the rustle of skirts as people sway. Folk remedies, turpentine for worms, whiskey for pain was shared like scripture, their efficacy untested but clung to with faith. Smell the sharp bite of turpentine, feel the burn of whiskey on your tongue, a fleeting warmth against the fear of illness. These gatherings offered community, a balm for the soul, but no cure for the body. Your modern skepticism, shaped by science, would find no purchase here, where hope was the only medicine many could afford. As the day fades, imagine lying in your tent, the canvas flapping gently in the night wind, the air cool but heavy with the day's odors, smoke, sweat, the faint rot of a nearby latrine. Hear the distant cough of a neighbor, the soft rustle of a blanket as you pull it close. The West's invisible killers never slept, their presence a constant hum beneath the surface of every moment. Cholera could strike by noon, smallpox by evening, a fever by midnight. Without clean water, sterile tools, or modern drugs, your body would be a battlefield, each breath a roll of the dice. Historical records from the 1870s describe towns losing half their population in weeks. Their streets silent, save for the creak of coffin-laden carts. Feel the fragility of life here, the thin line between dawn and dusk. As you let this truth settle over you like a soft veil, let's consider the animals, the silent carriers of disease in this wild land. Picture a horse tethered outside your tent, its breath steaming in the morning air, its hide dusted with flies. Smell the musky scent of its sweat, the faint ammonia of its waste. Horses, vital to the West, carried ticks and fleas, spreading diseases like anthrax, which could leap from beast to man. Hear the soft nicker of the horse, the buzz of flies circling its eyes. Rabies, too, was a threat. Coyotes and stray dogs, their howls piercing the night, could turn a bite into a death sentence. Feel the jolt of fear as a shadow moves in the dark, the uncertainty of whether it's friend or foe. Veterinary records from the era note livestock losses to disease, their owners sickening soon after. Your modern distance from such risks, pets, pest control would be absent here, leaving you exposed to nature's unseen allies. Now, imagine a moment of care, a rare act of kindness in this harsh world. Picture a woman tending a sick child, her hands gentle as she presses a cool cloth to his fevered brow. Smell the faint mint of the cloth, steeped in boiled water, its coolness a fleeting relief. Hear her soft whispers, a prayer for healing. Though she knows the odds, the child's cough is wet, his skin hot, his eyes bright with fever, diphtheria, perhaps, or whooping cough. both rampant in the West. Medical logs from frontier towns describe children as the most vulnerable. There, small bodies succumbing quickly. Feel the ache in her heart, the weight of her love against the reality of loss. Your modern access to pediatric care, to vaccines and ventilators, would be a distant dream here, where a mother's touch was often the only medicine. As you drift closer to sleep, dear listener, let the scents of the west dust, smoke, bitter herbs fade into a gentle haze, like the hum of a fan in your own room. The invisible killers of the Wild West were relentless, claiming lives with every tainted sip, every crowded breath. Yet the people endured, their courage a quiet fire against the darkness of disease. Their remedies, laudanum, boiled water, whispered prayers were frail shields, but all they had. Let the rhythm of their struggle, the clink of a doctor's tools, the soft splash of a creak, lull you now, carrying you deeper into the quiet of history. This was a world where survival was a daily miracle, where every dawn was a victory over the unseen. For now, let the West's harsh truths fade, let its dangers dissolve into the shadows, and let your dreams begin where the frontier story pauses. Dear listener, let your breath slow to the rhythm of a creaking saloon door, your body easing into the gentle embrace of this moment. Picture yourself standing on a sun-scorched boardwalk in a frontier town, perhaps Tombstone or Deadwood, in the year 1881. The air is sharp with the smell of gunpowder and worn leather. The street a dusty ribbon stretching toward an endless horizon. Feel the rough wood beneath your boots, its splinters catching at your heels, the weight of a borrowed revolver heavy at your hip. Hear the distant crack of gunfire, the thud of hooves as a rider gallops past, kicking up clouds of dust that sting. Your eyes, this is the Wild West, beloved friend, a land where violence was as common as the prairie wind, where a single misstep, a wrong word, a glance too long could end in blood. Settle deeper now, let the hum of these words wrap around you like a soft shawl, and drift with me into the lawless heart of the frontier, where danger was a shadow that followed every step. Imagine noon in this bustling town, the sun a relentless blaze overhead, its heat pressing against your shoulders like a heavy hand. The street is alive with motion cowboys leading cattle, their spurs jangling, merchants hauling crates, their shouts mingling with the creak of wagon wheels. Smell the acrid tang of sweat-soaked leather, the faint sweetness of hay scattered. For horses, you stand outside a saloon, its faded sign swaying in the breeze. The air inside thick with cigar smoke and the sour reek of spilled whiskey. A man stumbles through the swinging doors, his hat askew, his breath sharp with liquor, his hand twitching near the holster at his side. Feel the pulse quicken in your throat, the dry click of your tongue as you realize you're unarmed, your modern instincts shaped by a world of law and order useless in this place where disputes are settled with lead. A single insult, a misjudged gesture, could spark a duel, the crack of a revolver echoing off wooden facades. Historical records from the era, like the Tombstone epitaph, report daily shootings, men killed over card games, bar fights, or simple misunderstandings. Your soft hands, accustomed to keyboards and screens, would falter here, where survival demanded a quick draw and quicker wits. Step into the saloon now, its air warm and hazy, the floor sticky underfoot with spilled drinks and tobacco juice. Hear the clink of glasses, the low murmur of a poker game, the sudden scrape of a chair as tempers flare. Picture a cowboy, his face weathered by sun and dust, his eyes narrowing as he accuses another of cheating. Smell the gunpowder as he draws, the sharp metallic scent cutting through the room's musk. Feel the jolt of fear as you duck behind a table, its wood scarred by past bullets, your heart pounding as shots ring out. The West was a land of lawlessness, where sheriffs were often outnumbered or outgunned, and justice was a private matter. Newspapers from the 1870s describe bar brawls that left men dead, their bodies dragged to the street, no questions asked. Without police stations or ambulances, a wound was often a death sentence, the nearest doctor miles away, his tools crude and Imagine the sting of a grazed arm, the warm trickle of blood. Knowing there's number 911, no hospital, only the hope of a stranger's mercy. Your modern sense of safety would crumble here, where violence was a language everyone spoke. Let's pause and breathe in the scene, dear friend. The saloon's walls are rough-hewn, their knots dark with smoke, the air heavy with the musk of unwashed bodies and the faint tang of blood from a fight the night before. Outside, the street hums with horse snorts. A woman's shout cuts through the dust. The distant bark of a dog signals unease. Feel the weight of eyes on you, strangers sizing you up, their hands never far from their guns. The West's violence wasn't confined to towns out on the open range. Danger was even closer. Picture yourself riding a horse across the prairie, the grass whispering against your boots, the air thick with the scent of sagebrush and dry earth. Hear the sudden rustle of brush, the hiss of a rattlesnake coiled in the grass. Its bite a slow poison that could kill before you reached help. Smell the musky scent of danger. Feel the sweat bead on your brow as you scan the horizon for threats. Outlaws roamed these trails, their masks dusty, their revolvers gleaming in the sun. Historical accounts, like those in the Wyoming stock rowers. Association records detail stagecoach robberies, cattle rustling, and ambushes that left travelers dead, their belongings scattered in the dust. Your modern reliance on GPS or roadside assistance would be a faint memory here, replaced by the need for sharp eyes and a steady hand. Now, imagine a homestead at dusk, its single room lit by a flickering tallow candle, its greasy smoke curling toward the ceiling. Picture yourself alone, the door barred with a heavy plank, the windows shuttered against the night. Smell the pine of the walls, the faint mildew of a blanket damp from last week's rain. Hear the creak of a floorboard, the soft thud of something or someone outside. The West was a place of constant vigilance, where a knock could mean a friend or a foe. Diaries from settlers describe midnight raids by outlaws, their faces hidden, their guns drawn, demanding food or gold. Feel the cold metal of a rifle in your hands, its weight unfamiliar, your fingers trembling as you peer into the dark. Without phones or neighbors, you're alone, your survival hinging on your own courage. Historical records from Montana in the 1880s note homesteads burned by rustlers, families killed for a few dollars or a horse. Your modern life, with its locked doors and security systems, would offer no shield here, where every shadow held a threat. Let's step into the towns. Makeshift jail, a squat building of warped boards, its air thick with the smell of tobacco and rust. Picture a sheriff, his badge tarnished, his face lined by years of hard living. Hear the clang of a cell door, the low growl of a prisoner cursing his fate. Sheriffs, often former outlaws themselves, enforced justice with a gun, not a gavel. Their authority, as fragile as the town's peace, smelled the stale sweat of the prisoner, his clothes stiff with dirt, his eyes burning with defiance. Vigilante justice was common. Newspapers from Deadwood in 1876 described lynchings, mobs dragging men to the gallows for crimes as small as theft. Feel the rough hemp of a rope, the heat of a crowd pressing close. Their shouts a roar in your ears. The West's justice was swift and brutal, with no appeals, no lawyers, only the mob's verdict. Your modern sense of fairness, shaped by courts and due process, would find no echo here, where a single accusation could end your life before sundown. Imagine a moment of fleeting peace, dear listener, as you sit by a campfire on the trail. The stars a glittering canopy above. The fire crackles, its smoke sharp and woody, the air cool against your skin. Smell the sagebrush burning, its scent mingling with the grease of roasting meat. Hear the soft strum of a guitar, a cowboy's voice low and mournful, singing of home. But even here, danger lurks. Picture a rustle in the darkness, the snap of a twig, the glint of eyes in the firelight. Feel the jolt of fear, the weight of your revolver as you fumble to draw it, your hands untrained, your heart racing. Bandits often struck at night. Their attacks swift and merciless. Stagecoach records from Arizona in the 1880s describe passengers shot for resisting, their bodies left for wolves. Without backup or communication, you're alone. Your survival a matter of luck as much as skill. Your modern world, with its police and emergency lines, would be a distant dream, replaced by the cold reality of a gun in your hand. Let's linger on the tools of violence, the instruments that defined the West's lawless edge. Picture a Colt. Revolver, its barrel cool and heavy, its grip worn smooth by countless hands. Smell the oil used to clean it, the faint sulfur of spent cartridges. Hear the click of the hammer, the soft creak of leather as it's drawn from a holster. Rifles, shotguns, Bowie knives all were as common as boots. Their presence, a constant reminder of the frontier's dangers. Feel the weight of a knife at your belt, its blade nicked from use, its edge sharp enough to cut through bone. Historical accounts, like those from the Texas Rangers, describe gunfights where men fell in seconds, their blood soaking the dust. Your modern discomfort with weapons, your reliance on law enforcement, would leave you vulnerable, a stranger in a land where violence was currency now. Step into a moment of human connection, fragile in this brutal world. Picture a woman tending a wounded man, her hands steady as she wraps a cloth around his bleeding arm. Smell the coppery scent of blood, the faint lavender of her handkerchief, pressed into service as a bandage. Hear her soft murmurs, urging him to hold on, though the nearest doctor is a day's ride away. Violence touched everyone, women, children, the old, leaving scars both seen and unseen. Diaries from Kansas homesteaders describe mothers burying sons killed in disputes, their grief silent but heavy. Feel the ache in her hands, the weight of loss as she ties the knot, knowing it may not be enough. Your modern access to trauma centers. 2 trained paramedics would be absent here, where a wound was a roll of the dice, and death often won. As evening falls, imagine standing on the edge of town, the sky bruising purple, the air cooling to a sharp edge. The street is quiet now, the saloons emptying, their lights dimming to a flicker. Smell the dust settling, the faint smoke of dying. Campfires. Hear the soft creak of a sign swaying in the wind, the distant bark of a dog. But the quiet is deceptive. Violence never slept in the West. A shout could erupt at any moment, a gunshot shattering the stillness. Historical records from Cheyenne in 1879 note nightly brawls, bodies left in alleys until dawn. Feel the tension in your shoulders, the instinct to glance behind you, knowing no one has your back. Your modern life, with its safe streets and lit homes, would offer no defense here. where danger was as constant as the stars. Let's reflect on the people who lived this reality, dear listener. Picture a cowboy, his face etched by sun and wind, his revolver a constant weight at his side. He rides alone, his horse's hooves a steady rhythm, his eyes scanning for trouble. Smell the leather of his saddle, the sweat of his horse, the faint gunpowder on his hands. His life was a balance of caution and courage, every encounter a potential threat. Or picture a shopkeeper, his apron stained, his hands calloused, keeping a shotgun beneath his counter. Hear his low voice, warning a drunk to leave, his heart pounding as he grips the weapon. These were the survivors, their lives shaped by the West's lawless code, their stories etched in cemetery markers, shot in a quarrel, killed by bandits. Your modern world, with its rules and protections, would feel like a distant fairy tale here, where survival meant meeting violence, with violence as you drift closer to sleep. Beloved friend, let the scents of the West gunpowder, leather, dust fade into a soft haze, like the hum of a fan in your own room. The lawless land was a crucible, forging lives from fear and fortitude, where every day was a dance with danger. The crack of gunfire, the creak of a gallows, the thud of boots on a dusty street. These were the rhythms of survival, played out under a merciless sun. Let the weight of this truth settle gently, lulling you deeper into rest. The West's violence was a storm, but its people endured, their courage a quiet light in the darkness. For now, let the saloon's clamor fade, let the prairie's dangers dissolve, and let your dreams begin where the frontier's story pauses. Dear listener, let your breath ease into the rhythm of a soft prairie breeze, your body sinking into the comfort of this moment. As we drift to a homestead on the edge of a frontier town in 1870, picture a one-room cabin, its walls chinked with mud, the air heavy with the reek of an outhouse baking under the relentless sun. The floor is packed dirt, gritty beneath your bare feet, the faint scent of mildew clinging to a sagging canvas roof. Smell the stale sweat of unwashed clothes, the sour tang of milk left too long in a tin bucket. Hear the buzz of flies circling, a pile of refuse just outside the door, their hum a constant drone in the still air. This is the Wild West, beloved friend, a land of raw beauty and unyielding filth, where cleanliness was a luxury few could afford, and sanitation a battle lost. Before noon, settle deeper now. Let the hum of these words wrap around you like a soft quilt, and glide with me into the gritty reality of the frontier, where dirt was a foe as deadly as any outlaw. Imagine waking at dawn, your body aching from a night on. A straw pallet, its fibers damp with sweat and prickling your skin. The air is already warm, the sun creeping through cracks in the cabin's walls, casting slivers of light across the dusty floor. Your first instinct is to wash, to clear the grit from your eyes, but there's no faucet, no shower, only a wooden bucket by the door, its water murky with silt from a nearby creek. Smell the algae, sharp and green, as you dip a rag, the liquid cool but slimy against your face. Feel the grit between your fingers, the faint sting as it catches in your eyes. This water, shared by your family, perhaps your neighbors, is a breeding ground for disease, typhoid, dysentery, lurking in every drop. Historical records from frontier towns like Abilene note frequent outbreaks, with entire families sickened by contaminated wells. Your modern habit of daily showers, of clean towels and soap, would be a distant dream here, replaced by a fleeting scrub that leaves you only marginally less filthy. Step outside now, to the homestead's yard, where an outhouse stands 50 paces away, its wooden planks warped by heat, its stench a thick cloud that lingers even in the wind. Picture the splintered seat, rough against your skin, the air inside clammy and sour with the smell of ammonia and decay. Hear the buzz of flies, their wings a relentless hum as they swarm the pit below. This outhouse, shared by a dozen families, or more, overflows with waste, its contents seeping into the soil, tainting nearby wells. Historical accounts from the 1870s describe latrines as sources of cholera, their runoff poisoning water supplies. Feel the dread as you hurry to finish. The heat already building, the flies brushing your skin. Your modern plumbing flush toilets, septic systems would be unimaginable here, where sanitation was a crude, communal affair, and cleanliness a gamble with death. Let's pause and breathe in the scene, dear friend. The homestead's yard. There's a patchwork of dirt and sparse grass, littered with bones from last week's meal. The faint rot of vegetable scraps drawing ants. Smell the earthy musk of manure, spread by passing horses, mingling with the sharp tank of wood smoke from a neighbor's fire. Hear the soft cluck of chickens, scratching in the dust, their feathers dusty, their droppings adding to the yards. Filth. Bathing is a rare ritual, reserved for moments when time and water allow. Picture a tin tub in the yard, filled with creek water hauled in buckets, its surface cloudy with sediment. Feel the cold shock as you step in, the water gritty against your skin, shared by your family in turn, father, mother, children, each adding their dirt to the mix. Smell the harsh bite of lye soap, its chemical sting burning your hands, its foam sparse and fleeting. Without hot water or clean towels, you're never truly clean, only less grimy. Your skin still coated with the dust that clings to everything in the West. Now wander into the town, where the main street is a churned mess of mud and manure, its open gutters channels for slop and sewage. Picture a butcher's shop, its wooden counter slick with blood, flies buzzing over scraps tossed into the street. Smell the rancid fat, the faint decay of meat left too long in the heat. Hear the squelch of boots in the mud, the low hum of insects drawn to the filth. Wells, dug too close to outhouses or stables, yield water that tastes of iron and earth, its cloudiness a warning of contamination. Historical records from Denver in the 1880s note wells abandoned after outbreaks, their water blamed for fever and death. Feel the weight of a bucket in your hands, the dread as you drink, knowing each sip could sicken you. Your modern reliance on purified water, on sanitation systems that whisk waste away, would find no echo here, where every drink was a roll of the dice-dot step into a boarding house now, its walls thin and warped, the air thick with the breath of strangers packed into narrow bunks. Picture a room lit by a single lantern, its flame casting shadows on stained walls, the floor littered with tobacco, spit, and crumbs. Smell the musty odor of unwashed bedding, the faint mildew of blankets never fully dried. Hear the soft rustle of bedbugs in the straw mattress, their bites a constant itch that reddens your skin. Lice, to thrive in the close quarters, their presence a daily torment, their eggs clinging to your hair like dust. Medical logs from frontier towns describe rampant skin infections, boils, rashes, abscesses, worsened by dirt and lack of care. Feel the scratch of coarse cloth against your irritated skin, the frustration of never feeling clean. Your modern arsenal of shampoos, antiseptics, and washing machines would be absent, leaving you vulnerable to the frontier's relentless filth. Let's linger on the daily rituals of hygiene, such fragile defenses against the West's grime. Picture a woman at a washboard, her hands raw from lye, scrubbing a shirt stiff with sweat and dust. Smell the sharp chemical temps of the soap, the faint steam rising from a pot of boiling water, its heat a rare luxury. Hear the rhythmic scrape of the board, the soft splash of water in a tin basin. Laundry was a weekly ordeal, if that, with clothes worn until they reeked, their fibers embedded with dirt and grease. Historical accounts from homesteader diaries describe families owning only one or two outfits, patched and repatched until they fell apart. Feel the chafe of rough burlap against your skin, the itch of dirt trapped in its weave. Your modern wardrobe, cleaned daily with ease, would be unthinkable here, where clean clothes were a privilege, not a right. Now, imagine the animals that shared this filthy world, their presence adding to the sanitation struggle. Picture a horse tethered outside your cabin, its hide dusted with flies, its manure piling up in the yard. Smell the musky ammonia, the faint sweetness of hay trampled into the dirt. Hear the soft snort of the horse, the buzz of insects circling its eyes. Chickens scratch in the dust, their droppings scattered where children play, their feathers carrying fleas that leap to human hosts. Historical records from the 1870s note livestock as vectors for disease, their waste tainting wells and soil. Feel the irritation of a flea bite, the dread of what it might bring: typhoid, perhaps, or worse. Your modern distance from animal sanitized farms. Pest control would offer no protection here, where beasts and humans lived in close, unclean proximity. Step into a moment of quiet despair, dear listener. Picture a child, barefoot in the yard, his feet caked with mud, his hair matted with dust. Smell the faint sweat on his skin, the dirt ground into his palms from hauling water. Hear his soft cough, a sign of infection brewing in his lungs, worsened by the dust he breathes daily. His mother, her hands chapped and bleeding from washing, dabs his face with a damp rag, its cloth worn thin, its water barely cleaner than his skin. Medical records from frontier towns describe children succumbing to infections spread by poor hygiene: diarrhea, skin sores, respiratory ailments. Feel her worry, the weight of love against the reality of a world where was a battle rarely won. Your modern access to pediatricians, 2 sterile wipes and clean bedding, would be a distant hope here, where a mother's care was often all a child had. Let's move to the town's edge, where a creek runs sluggish under the noon sun, its banks littered with refuse rags, bones, a broken bucket. Picture yourself kneeling to fill a canteen, the water's surface shimmering with oil and algae. Smell its sour, earthy scent. Feel the grit as you filter it through a cloth, hoping it's enough. Hear the soft ripple as you dip your hands, the distant low of cattle drinking upstream. This creek, the town's lifeblood, is also its poison, carrying waste from outhouses and stables. Historical accounts from Colorado in the 1860s describe entire settlements abandoned after waterborne outbreaks, their wells and streams deadly. Your modern expectation of clean tap water, of sanitation systems that shield you from waste, would collapse here, where every drink was a risk, every bath a compromise with filth. Now, imagine the night, the cabin dark save for a single candle, its tallow smoke sharp and greasy, curling toward the ceiling. Picture yourself lying on your pallet, the straw damp with humidity, the air thick with the day's odor: sweat, manure, the faint rot of a nearby latrine. Hear the buzz of mosquitoes, drawn to your warmth, their bites a prickling threat of malaria. Feel the itch of bedbugs, their scurrying a soft rustle in the dark. The West's filth, was inescapable, seeping into every moment your clothes, your skin, your lungs. Diaries from settlers in Nebraska note families plagued by lice, their scalps raw from scratching, their bedding burned in desperation. Your modern hygiene daily showers, clean sheets would be a fantasy, replaced by a constant battle against dirt that never truly ended. Let's reflect on the people who lived in this grime, dear listener. Picture a homesteader, her face lined by sun and worry, her hands rough from scrubbing laundry in a creek. Smell the lye on her skin, the faint sage she rubs into her hair, a vain attempt at freshness. Hear her soft sigh as she hangs a shirt to dry, its fibers already stiff with dust. Or picture a miner, his clothes black with coal dust, his skin gritty despite a quick rinse in a muddy stream. Feel the weight of his exhaustion, the itch of dirt he can't escape. These were the survivors, their lives a testament to endurance. Yet their cemeteries tell of those lost to infections born of filth boils that burst into sepsis, fevers from tainted water. Your modern world, with its antiseptics and plumbing, would feel like a miracle here, where cleanliness was a dream deferred. As you drift closer to sleep, beloved friend, let the sense of the West manure lie, muddy water fade into a soft haze like the hum of a fan in your own room. The filthy frontier was a crucible, where every day was a struggle against dirt and disease, where hygiene was a luxury stolen in fleeting moments. The buzz of flies, the splash of a bucket, the creak of an outhouse door, these were the rhythms of survival, played out under a merciless sun. Let the weight of this truth settle gently, lulling you deeper into rest. The West's grime was a relentless foe, but its people endured, their resilience a quiet light in the darkness. For now, let the cabin's odors fade, let the frontier's filth dissolve, and let your dreams begin where the story pauses. Dear listener, let your breath ease into the rhythm of a flickering campfire, its embers glowing faintly under a vast, starlit prairie sky. Picture yourself in the Wild West of 1885, seated on a dusty log by a homesteader's fire, the air heavy, with the dry scent of sagebrush and the faint char of burning wood. Your hands cradle a tin plate, its surface scratched, holding a meager portion of cold beans and crumbling hardtack. Smell the burnt grease, the stale mold of bread gone dry in the heat. Feel the grit in your teeth, the ache of hunger gnawing at your core. Hear the soft crackle of the fire, the distant howl of a coyote, its hunger echoing yours. This is the Wild West, beloved friend, a land of endless promise but scarce sustenance, where food and water were treasures rarer than gold. Settle deeper now, let the hum of these words wrap you like a warm shawl, and drift with me into the starving heart of the frontier, where a single day without nourishment could steal your strength. Imagine waking at dawn, your body stiff from a night on a thin bedroll, the prairie's chill seeping through its burlap. Your stomach rumbles, a sharp pang that tugs you from sleep. Breakfast is a tin cup of coffee, its taste bitter and muddy, boiled over a fire of dried dung, its acrid smoke stinging your eyes. Smell the faint char of beans, reheated from last night, their texture gluey, flavorless without salt. Feel the chew of hardtack, its stone-like hardness grinding your teeth, each bite a labor. Food in the West was scarce rancid, bacon, weevil-ridden flour, jerky tough as leather. Diaries from Kansas settlers in the 1870s describe meals of boiled roots or cornmeal mush, eaten to fend off starvation. Smell the sourness of milk spoiled in a tin bucket, the faint rot of meat hung too long. Your modern diet, fresh fruit, varied meals would be a dream here, replaced by a hunger that clings like dust, sapping your energy with every hour. Step outside now, to a homestead's barren yard, where a small garden wilts under a merciless sun, its plants shriveled in cracked soil. Picture yourself digging, your hands gritty, pulling a scrawny carrot, its earthy scent faint. Hear its soft snap, the crunch as you bite its tough flesh, barely easing your hunger. Droughts common. In the 1880s, left fields barren, as Nebraska farm records note, with families facing empty pantries. The game was scarce deer, and rabbits hunted near extinction. Hear the crack of a rifle, the silence when no game appears. Smell the dry sagebrush, its brittle scent mocking your empty hands. Your modern grocery stores, with their endless choices, would be unthinkable here, where a single meal was a victory, won through hours of toil. Let's pause, dear friend, and breathe in the scene. The campfire's smoke curls upward, sharp and woody, mingling with the dust coating your skin. Feel the weight of a tin plate, its edges dented, slick with grease. Hear the clink of a spoon, the faint groan of your stomach as you scrape the last bean without refrigeration. Meat spoiled quickly, its rancid smell a warning of waste. Flour stored in burlap, bread weevils, their crunch unavoidable in bread. Montana settler accounts describe sifting insects from grain in desperation. Smell the musty flour, the bitter coffee boiled with river water, its taste muddy. Your modern palate, used to clean flavors, would recoil, but hunger left no choice. Every bite was survival, not pleasure. Now, consider water, the West's most precious peril. Picture a dry creek bed, its banks cracked, the air thick with dust that stings your eyes. Your canteen, nearly empty, holds warm, gritty water from a stagnant pond. Smell its algae, the faint rot of upstream waste manure, slop, decay. Feel the crack of your lips, the ache in your throat as you swallow, each sip risking dysentery. Rivers, used by cattle and camps, carried filth, as Colorado wagon train records from the 1860s note, with settlers dying of thirst or disease. Hear the slosh of your canteen, the ripple of a tainted stream. Without purifiers, you'd face a cruel choice: drink and risk illness, or abstain and face dehydration. Your modern tap water would be a fantasy here, where every sip was a gamble. Imagine a woman at the fire, her hands rough from grinding corn, stirring a pot of thin stew beans, a scrap of bacon, wild onions. Smell the faint earthiness, the grease barely masking blandness. Hear her soft hum, soothing her children's hunger, their faces gaunt. Diaries from Dakota Territory describe children fainting from want, parents powerless as crops failed. Feel her ache, the weight of love against scarcity. Your modern access to abundant food would be a distant hope, where a mother's ingenuity stretching a sack of flour for weeks was survival's edge. Step into a trading post, its shelves sparse, the air heavy with dust and leather. Picture a merchant weighing flour, his scales creaking, his hands dusty. Smell the moldy grain, the sharp brine of pickled eggs, cloudy with age. Hear the clink of coins, the barter for a pound of bacon. Supplies, delivered rarely, were often spoiled, as Wyoming records from the 1880s note, with traders charging high prices. Feel the weight of empty pockets, the dread of another hungry week. Your modern convenient stocked pantries, delivery would find no echo here, where every meal was a negotiation. As night falls, picture the campfire's glow, the sky deep indigo, the air sharp. The stew is gone, your stomach still rumbling. Smell the sagebrush burning, the grease of an empty pot. Hear the coyotes howl, its hunger yours. The West's scarcity was relentless droughts. Locusts over hunting A's Oklahoma diaries describe. Families eating leather to survive. Feel the hollow in your chest, the weight of hunger as you lie down. Your modern abundance would be a miracle here, where every day was a fight against the starving plains. As you drift asleep, beloved friend, let the sense grease, sage, bitter coffee fade into a soft haze. The clink of a spoon, the crackle of a fire, the ache of hunger, these were survival's rhythms under an unforgiving sky. Let this truth settle gently, lulling you into rest. The West's hunger was a foe, but its people endured their resilience. A quiet light. Let the campfire fade, the scarcity dissolve, and your dreams begin where the story pauses. Dear listener, as you rest in this moment's embrace, let gratitude warm your heart for the safety shielding you from the Wild West's trials disease. Violence, filth, hunger, elements, and loneliness. Picture the prairie's vast silence. The courage of settlers who faced each dawn with grit. Their story, woven with dust and dreams, fades now, a gentle lullaby carrying you to sleep. Feel the softness of your own world, the love surrounding you. Rest, beloved friend, safe and blessed. As the frontier's shadows dissolve and dreams of peace enfold you. Good night,